This is our second video on changing the subject of formula. So ones we're going to look at today are going to be involving brackets and fractions. Okay, the first one here we have got a upon c minus x is equal to d, and we have to make x a subject here. So there's a couple of ways we can do this one. So the first way thing we can do is we could leave we'll just write out again, sorry, we will just leave the c minus x where it is, and we will divide across by the a. So next thing, what I'll do is I'll swap the minus x and the d over a around, so that d over a comes across and equals x, and then that is it. And we just rewrite that as x is equal to c minus d over a. Now it's very important that I show you the second method because the answer could look quite different, but it is still the same thing. So I'm just going to zoom across a wee bit. Next, the other method, and this is a method most of you probably will prefer, is when you multiply the bracket. So you have ac minus ax is equal to d. And then what we will do, similar sort of step as the last one, we're going to swap our minus ax and our d around. And then what we're going to do is divide across by this, which is your divide across by this, so dividing across by the a. So you're going to have ac minus d all divided by a is equal to x, which you could write as ac minus d all over a. Now let's compare our two answers, which you have to take my word for it, they're both correct. They look quite different. So this is correct and this is correct. There's two different ways of doing the same question, but if you were to take a common denominator on this one, you honestly would get the same thing. So if you took a common denominator as a, you would get this. So they just do look different, but they're the same same solution. Okay, part B. We've got two things going on. We're trying to make x a subject, so our end result we want to get to is x is equal to. So we have two things going on. The first thing is we are we're adding the z first. The next thing we're doing then is dividing by 5. So the dividing by 5 is the first thing we need to reverse. So the opposite of dividing by 5 is multiplying by 5. So 5 comes up and multiplies that y. So 5y equals x plus z. And then that z needs to come across. So you're going to have 5y minus z is equal to x. And then we'll just write down our answer. Write the x first, so you have 5y minus z, so x is equal to 5y minus z. Okay, again, there's a couple of methods to this one. So the first method I would bring this c across. So bring the c across first, so I'm going to have minus d over x is equal to e minus c. And then what I would do is I would multiply across by my x. Basically, if you're in this situation where you've got the thing that you're trying to make the subject, if it's on the bottom line, that's a problem. So you've basically got to get that off the bottom line. So minus what is happening at the minute, that x is dividing. So when it goes across, it multiplies. So you're going to have x is equal to upon e minus c. Now what's happening now? This whole thing, this e minus c, what it's doing is it's multiplying the x. So when the e minus c goes across, what it's going to do is it's going to divide. So minus d is being divided by e minus c, and that's equal to x. And then what you can do is you can multiply everything on the top line by minus 1 to give you d, and everything on the bottom line by minus 1 to give you c minus e, and that is correct. The other way we could do this is going to be if I swap my d over x and my e around. So c minus e is equal to d over x. And from here on in it's fairly similar. Multiply across by my x, and I'm going to have x upon c minus e is equal to d. And then divide across again, I'm going to have d divided by c minus e. So you can see got the same answer, two different methods. You'll probably prefer the second method there, but they're both good. Part D, this is a very important one. And again, just to reiterate what I said in the last example, the thing we're trying to find is the x in this question. It's on the bottom line, so that's going to be a problem to us. So we want to get it off the bottom line. We're going to use a lovely method which is called cross multiplying. So the x is going to multiply up here, and likewise the 2 is going to multiply up here. So when you do that, you're going to get a times x is equal to 2 times p. Then your x is going to be equal to 2p divided by a, and that is your answer.